Welcome to Wisdom and Wealth, a channel dedicated to helping you cultivate a richer, more fulfilling life, inside and out. Have you ever wished you could remain calm, cool, and collected, regardless of what life throws your way? Imagine being so emotionally powerful that no one's words or actions can trigger you. You walk through life with unwavering calm, unaffected by the chaos around you. Sounds like a superpower, doesn't it? But mastering your emotions isn't just a skill for the elite, it's something anyone can learn. Today, we're going to dive into how to never get overly angry or bothered by anyone and truly take control of your emotional responses, no matter the situation. This isn't just a quick fix, this is the mindset of a person who commands their emotions instead of being ruled by them. This journey is about understanding and developing the tools to navigate life's inevitable challenges with grace and wisdom. Stick with us, and together, we'll explore proven strategies for achieving emotional mastery. And if you find value in this content, please hit that like button or subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future insights that can help you unlock your full potential. 1. The power of emotional detachment. Break the chain of reaction. The first step in mastering our emotions is to cultivate emotional detachment. This doesn't mean that we suppress or ignore our feelings. It means observing them without identifying with them. In Buddhist philosophy, we are taught that emotions, like anger, arise when we become attached to an event, a person's words, or a situation. We tend to take things personally, and this personal attachment fuels our emotional reactions. Emotional detachment teaches us that we don't have to react immediately to every emotion that arises. We can simply observe it and allow it to pass, much like clouds in the sky. In moments of anger or frustration, if we can take a pause and observe the emotion without judgment, we begin to break the cycle of automatic reactions. For example, when someone says something hurtful, rather than instantly reacting with anger or defensiveness, stop for a moment. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and notice what you're feeling. Are you angry, hurt, frustrated, or maybe even fearful? Once you've recognized the emotion, let it go. Just as clouds come and go, so do our emotions. By doing this, you begin to detach from the emotion itself and free yourself from its grip. When we practice emotional detachment, we realize that anger is not who we are simply the observer of our emotions. This shift in perception allows us to stop the chain of reaction before it spirals out of control. 2. Reprogram your mind, the what-if mindset shift. Our minds are incredibly powerful. However, we often allow them to lead us into negative and unproductive thought patterns, particularly when it comes to situations that trigger anger. We might ask ourselves, why did they say that, or what do they mean by that? These questions, although natural, often lead to an emotional spiral that strengthens anger and frustration. But Buddhism teaches us that we can reprogram our minds with the power of perspective and curiosity. The what-if mindset shift is a tool that allows us to change our thought patterns from a negative, reactive mode to one of curiosity and growth. Instead of reacting with anger, ask yourself, what if this situation is a lesson for me, or what if this person is going through something that I don't understand? These simple questions not only diffuse the intensity of our anger but also open the door for greater understanding, empathy, and personal growth. For example, if someone criticizes you in a harsh way, instead of thinking, how dare they say that, ask yourself, what if this is an opportunity for me to practice patience or to learn something about myself? By shifting your perspective, you are no longer bound by the impulse to react. You begin to create space for a more thoughtful and measured response. The what-if mindset encourages us to see every interaction as a chance to grow and not just as a potential trigger for our emotions. If you're finding this information helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss another valuable lesson. 3. The power of self-sovereignty. Own your emotional realm. Self-sovereignty refers to the idea that we are the rulers of our own emotional world. In Buddhism, this is a profound teaching. No one else has the power to make us feel anything unless we allow it. Others might say or do things that challenge us, but how we feel in response is entirely within our control. The power of self-sovereignty lies in recognizing that our emotional state is our responsibility. No one can truly make us angry, sad, or upset unless we give them permission to do so. This realization is incredibly freeing because it places the power back into our hands. When we allow others to trigger us, we are essentially handing over control of our emotional realm. However, by claiming our emotional sovereignty, we empower ourselves to respond with wisdom, peace, and emotional maturity. When someone attempts to upset you, instead of reacting impulsively, take a moment to center yourself. Remind yourself, I control how I feel. I own my emotional world, and no one can make me feel anything unless I choose to let them. This practice is about reclaiming control, and as you do, you will find that you feel less reactive to the world around you. You will become the calm in the storm. Remember that emotional sovereignty is a journey, not a destination. Embrace the process, and watch as you transform into the master of your emotions. 4. Energy transmutation. Transform anger into high-vibration power. Anger is an incredibly powerful emotion, but it doesn't have to be destructive. In fact, Buddhism teaches us that we can transmute anger into higher forms of energy, such as focus, creativity, and motivation. Rather than letting anger drain our energy and lower our vibration, we can use it as fuel for something constructive. This process is called energy transmutation. When we feel anger rising, instead of suppressing it or acting on it immediately, we can redirect that energy into something more positive. For instance, you might use the anger you feel to dive into a creative project or tackle a task with newfound determination. You could also use the energy to exercise, channeling it into physical movement. The key is to move the energy out of the emotional body and use it to elevate your state of being. The act of transforming anger into high-vibration power doesn't mean ignoring or denying your feelings, it simply means acknowledging the emotion, feeling it fully, and then redirecting it in a way that serves your personal growth. As you continue to practice this, you will find that anger no longer has the ability to drain you. Instead, it becomes a source of fuel that propels you forward in life. If you're ready to harness your emotions and transform them into something positive, be sure to subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth for more empowering content. 5. The art of emotional alchemy, turning toxic energy into gold. Emotional alchemy is a powerful concept in Buddhism that teaches us to turn negative emotions into sources of wisdom, strength, and personal growth. It encourages us to take toxic energy, like anger, frustration, or resentment, and transform it into something valuable, such as understanding, compassion, or clarity. When we experience emotions like anger, they can feel overwhelming. However, Buddhism teaches us that these emotions, rather than being obstacles, can be raw materials for transformation. The key is how we approach them. Instead of resisting or suppressing them, we fully experience the emotion and then transform it. Like an alchemist works with lead to create gold, we can work with negative emotions to create something of higher value. Take anger, for example. It arises when we feel wronged or misunderstood. Anger is powerful, but it's energy. If we harness that energy instead of letting it consume us, we can use it for positive change. Anger can teach us about our boundaries, our needs, and what's important to us. When anger rises, we can stop and ask, what is this anger trying to show me? What lesson can I learn from it? By practicing emotional alchemy, we see that anger isn't inherently bad, it's how we respond to it that matters. We learn to ask meaningful questions to understand the deeper layers of the emotion, like what values have been threatened that are causing this anger, or how can I use this anger for growth? These questions help us reframe the emotion and use it as a tool for positive change. 6. Silence as power, the mastery of non-engagement. In today's fast-paced, highly reactive world, we are often encouraged to respond immediately to every situation, especially when provoked. The constant pressure to react quickly, whether through words or actions, can leave us emotionally drained and reactive. However, Buddhism teaches us the power of silence and non-engagement as a means of preserving our peace and maintaining control over our emotions. Mastering this practice is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate emotional stability and resilience. Silence as power isn't about being passive or avoiding conflict, it's about recognizing that not every situation requires a reaction. Often, our initial impulse, when someone insults us or when we feel wronged, is to immediately respond, perhaps with anger, frustration, or defensiveness. However, Buddhism teaches us that not every moment requires us to engage. By remaining silent in the face of provocation, we create space between the stimulus, the external event or words, and our response. This pause allows us to choose a response that is thoughtful and aligned with our values rather than one driven by impulsive emotions. Are you ready to unlock your emotional potential? Like and subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth for more transformative insights. 7. Mastering the art of grace under pressure. Be unshakable. Mastering the art of grace under pressure is a transformative and empowering skill. It's about remaining calm, composed, and centered, even when life circumstances push us to our limits. In Buddhism, this concept is known as equanimity, which refers to the mental and emotional balance that allows us to remain unshaken by external events. Whether it's dealing with conflict, facing a difficult situation, or navigating a personal crisis, grace under pressure helps us maintain our inner peace while responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Life is full of unexpected challenges. We can't control every situation, and there will always be times when stress, frustration, or even despair seems to overwhelm us. However, what we can control is how we respond. Buddhism teaches us that we are the creators of our own experience. It's not the external events themselves that determine our emotional state but rather our responses to them. When we learn to remain graceful under pressure, we don't allow difficult circumstances to dictate how we feel or act. Instead, we rise above the chaos and navigate life with poise and inner strength. So there you have it, a roadmap to mastering your emotions and navigating life with unwavering calm. Remember, this is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, practice these techniques regularly, and watch as you transform into the master of your emotional realm. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth for more insights on cultivating a richer, more fulfilling life.